Jackson and I have just got back from an expedition where we stayed in the tents in the same desert that Lehi and his family would have stayed in. Look at this cute little freaking camel. They would have needed possibly a minimum of 40 camels with them.
It will seal up, it expands.
Welcome to another episode of Between the Lines. In this series, we like to take apart all the little textual clues and details that are normally glossed over, but when you take them apart, it brings the story to life. Today, we're going to be diving into 1 Nephi chapter 2, verse 4. Hayden? Ooh, that was nice. Getting better at that. Whipping like the kids these days. Alrighty. Just go. So, it says in 1 Nephi chapter 2, verse 4, "And it came to pass that he departed into the wilderness, and he left his house, and the land of his inheritance, and his gold, and his silver, and his precious things, and took nothing with him, save it were his family, and provisions, and tents, and departed into the wilderness." And so today we are going to be looking into what those provisions were and what those tents looked like. Because believe it or not, Jackson and I have just got back from an expedition where we stayed in the tents in the same desert that Lehi and his family would have stayed in. And we came back with some really cool insights that we want to share today. So while we were out in the same desert that Lehi would have traveled in, we came across a desert dwelling people called Bedouins. And Bedouins have one rule when it comes to desert travel. It's camels are a necessity. You cannot go anywhere without camels. You cannot survive. They're not only your nutrients from their milk, but also your transportation to carry all these provisions and tents like they did. The thing that's really interesting about camels is that they are perfectly built for the desert. Unlike horses or donkeys or things like that, they have these very padded feet that are very wide and are able to trudge through sand without sinking too deeply in. Also, they can go extended distances without water. It's been heard that even camels can go as long as 30 days without drinking water. So that is a perfect vehicle for going through the desert. Now, the other provisions that would have been necessary are things like food and water. But how are you going to carry that? Well, obviously you'd have to use the camels. So they had little baskets that they would fill with grain and things like that. They would hang off the side of the camels. And they also had water carriers that were made out of goat skin. Now, when you're in the desert, the most important thing, the most valuable thing is water. And so they would have traveled with these camels from well to well so that the camels could drink, but most importantly so they could drink, because humans can't go as long as camels can, especially in the desert without water. And we actually went to some of these wells, which was really cool. Yeah, I actually want to share a sneak peek with you guys right now that's gonna hopefully make it into our docu-series. We came across a 1-week-old camel. Baby camel, that so made cute. The cutest noises, as you can see. Just, it almost looks like a little hairy spider, but it's kind of freaky looking. It was so cute. And so it was really cool to see how the camels are really just built for the desert. They're built different, as one would say, born after the year 2000. So check out this clip of the baby camel. Hey, look at this cutie, dude. Look at this cute little freaking camel. Hi. Hi. Just say hi to me.
Mohammed, how do you pick it up like you do? I want to pick it up. Here, let me pick it up. Like this? Yeah.
Oh, you're holding the baby camel? That's a cute baby camel, but it's also very tasty. Allegedly. We didn't get that opportunity to try it. But would we have? I would have tasted the baby camel. Yeah, because essentially, if it's a male, right, and they already have a quote-unquote like bull male to impregnate the females, then they really don't have any need except for food. So they normally wait until it's about 4 weeks old, and it's still nice and tender, like some Wagyu steak, and they fire up the Traeger. Camels. They fire up the Traeger, eat it. And they kept the females, as Jackson said, one, because it would allow them, because females can get pregnant and they could carry more baby camels, which would be a constant source of food, especially the male ones, but also because the females would produce milk. And camel's milk is way more nutrient than even cow's milk. And so Bedouins, or anyone who travels through the desert in a long caravan, would have survived in a big way because of camel's milk. Now, the other provision that would have been taken and is mentioned in this scripture are tents. And these tents, before Jackson tells you more about them, they were 500 pounds. One of these tents is 500 pounds, and it would take one camel just to carry the tent, and then it would take another camel to carry the poles for the tent. And so you would need a lot of camels to carry all the provisions, all the people, plus these tents.
And we know that the caravan that Lehi traveled in was pretty extensive, especially when he picked up Ishmael and his family. And our infield expert, Jim Gee, said that they would have needed possibly a minimum of 40 camels with them to carry not only themselves, but all their tents and provisions. And he gave us a little bit more insight of how these tents are made and why that is here in this clip.
Jim, out of all the animal hair that could have been used to make this tent, why did they use goat hair?
Because goat hair is unusual. It's not like wool, which when it gets wet, it does what?
Captures it?
No, yeah, it soaks it all in. This goat hair, you can see through it almost right now because it's all dry. But when it rains, which it looks like right now, it could within hours, it will seal up. It expands and then is waterproof and it will run right off. And then when it's hot, it opens up and then allows ventilation.
Man, we are giving you tons of inside things that have not been shared before on this docuseries. But as you can see, us going there and being in the desert, sleeping in these tents, traveling with these camels, it allows us a little bit more insight on what the journey was like for Lehi and his family.
So after listening to this episode, we hope you have a better understanding of what those provisions were that they took, what did the tents look like, and how did they travel. And so we're grateful that you joined us for this episode of Between the Lines. And if you haven't already, please subscribe so you don't miss another piece of golden content that's going to help bring the scriptures to life.
If you have something extra to share with us, write it in the comments. Or if you think we sound stupid, please write your rebuttals. Thanks for watching.
Thanks. And until next time, stay curious and hungry.